And we're here to talk about veterinary teams living well, and thank you for being a part of it. We know that team members want to grow their careers, and they want to have passionate careers, and they want to be purposeful. So that's what H is going to talk about. So tell us a little bit about your program.
Awesome. I am so honored to be here, Rebecca. First, I want us to show off our clamato flowers. What's the real name of these things?
Clematis.
Clematis. Okay, this is beautiful. I'm so happy to be here. Welcome, guys. I am so excited to be part of Veterinary Teams Living Well. I can't wait. This has been already been one of the most funnest speaking experiences I've ever had, and we haven't even started. But I want to do my little part to bring everybody back to feeling passionate about what they're doing by making them know that they're okay just the way they are.
Yes.
I think it's always been a core value for me to be able to break taboos, talk about things we're not supposed to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
So in the session where I talk about whether veterinary medicine is supposed to be a calling or not, I'm going to talk about whether it's okay if you see it as just a job. Because really this space is big enough for all of us. And the last thing that's going to make you productive is feeling ashamed about the way you feel about your job, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And placing those healthy expectations as to where you can and can't be and how you want to show up and what that looks like.
Yep. So this is a sneak preview, but I really believe that we can recognize that we're in this to support ourselves and support our families. And I believe that we can still find meaning in what we can do. We can make a difference in it. We can excel at it, and it can still be just a job. And that's okay.
And that's okay. That's all right. It's okay to say I'm leaving. I got other things to be going on in my life because we have lives outside of our job.
Oh my gosh. When I went recently to coach a team in the Colorado Springs area, and I asked what they wanted out of their culture, and one person very sheepishly raised their hand and said, to leave on time. And I was like, yes. And
yes.
I wrote it in all capital letters across the board. Let's leave on time.
Yes. And we can put together processes to make that happen and tools for success to make that happen as a team goal for everybody.
Absolutely.
To leave on time. Absolutely. Yep.
And that leads into kind of the other session that I'm going to be doing that's on job crafting, is that if we put systems in place where everybody is allowed to leverage their strengths and play to their strengths, we're all going to be better for it.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of coaching psychology out there that says that we get way more mileage out of leveraging our strengths than we ever do out of trying to improve on our weaknesses. And so I think it's time to be done with the idea that everybody has to be a generalist. Everybody has to be ready to step into every job in the practice at any time. I think it's a worthy goal for everybody to want to help their teammates all the time. But I think we help each other more when each person goes and does the thing that they're best at, so that everybody with joy. Yeah.
I am joyful when I get to expand on the things that I really like to do, and I'm really good at it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about your career.
Which one?
Well, I love that in your introduction video, you mentioned that you were like the crazy lady in the village. I love that.
This is true. So,
well, we might have the two crazy ladies here, honey.
Awesome. I mean, it takes one to know one.
That's right.
So I grew up in an itty little bitty town on the eastern shore of Maryland near the beach. So this feels like home to me. The first time I went to undergrad, I was a physics major, but I waited tables. I worked in a hot dog shop. I was a teaching assistant for the physics classes. Right after that, I went to Arizona, which is the hotbed of astronomy in the United States, and worked as a full-time teaching assistant there at the Biosphere 2 Center, oddly enough, back when they had that dome where if we can do it on Earth, we can do it on Mars eventually. So that was a cool chapter of my life. That eventually dried up. When that happened, I followed a boyfriend to Mexico, and I left him for a band. So I ended up playing in a band in Mexico. I'm not really sure why I left that career. That might have been a mistake. So I played in a band in Mexico. It was amazing. I became mostly fluent, at least proficient in Spanish. That's something I will treasure for the rest of my life. And then I got to be 25 years old and said, maybe I should do something else with my life other than play guitar in bars. And that was also a mistake, but here we are. So I came back to the beach town that I grew up in, went back to undergrad, did my prerequisites for veterinary school, and went to Virginia, Maryland for vet school, where I was a food animal tracker, oddly enough. Fell in love with a city guy, had to come do small animal, and practiced for about 5 years before I burned out really hard. So all of you who have gotten up feeling like you just can't face one more day at work, I've been there.
And I see that. I mean, even today, I was scrolling through some of the feeds, and that's what someone was saying. It's like, I don't know how much longer I can do this, right? And I think that's important for us to understand that even the folks that have been in this for a long time have been there as well. We just found ways to reinvent ourselves, recreate ourselves.
Absolutely.
And you can do that within a veterinary hospital, and you can do it beyond the veterinary hospital. But we want to focus on how can we as teams continue to live well.
So I think there's two big pieces of that, and that's the stuff I'm going to talk about. First, we've got to get rid of this notion. We don't have to get rid of it. If you are one of the people for whom there was nothing else you could ever imagine doing other than being involved in veterinary medicine, that's okay. But it's also okay if you're like, I want to go home. I want to ride my bike. I want to see my spouse or partner. I want to put my kids to bed. I don't want to be doing my medical notes for 3 hours on Sunday. That's okay too.
Exactly.
And so I think we've got to get rid of this idea. The idea of having a calling comes from the world's religions, and it implies that you're going to take a vow of poverty, sometimes a vow of celibacy, and nobody wants that. You know, it means if you're having a calling that every piece of your life becomes subservient to what you're doing in your work. And we know that that does not lead to people staying in this field. It does not lead to people having healthy balance. And it's not good for the sustainability of our profession as a whole.
And that's what that's the whole focus of our symposium, is creating a healthy, sustainable life and career over and over and over again, because we can do it. But it's identifying our needs. It's identifying that it's okay to have my needs, and this is what they are. They're different for all of us. Hallelujah.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. And so how as a team can we work within that to make it happy, not even happy, but workable and doable and blendable for all of us.
And that's, I think, where the job crafting piece comes in. In rural medicine, back in those James Herriot days where everybody does everything, in very small hospitals, we've got this idea that everybody's got to be general. But I will tell you that to this day, I turn green and I want to hide under the table when an emergency comes in. But I like all these things where I have to spoon the client and communicate in detail. And some of my ER junkie colleagues, that turns them green. So I really loved at my last clinical practice job where I had a colleague, thanks for rescuing me, where somebody would run in with an emergency and yell, I need a doctor. And she would look at me and she would say, I'll take the dog, you take the people. And I'd be like, go, right? Because it should be that everybody on the team gets to play to their strengths, do the thing they love best, do the thing that makes them feel the best when they go home at the end of the day, and give up as much as possible of the things that they don't enjoy and don't see as their strengths.
As you can see, she's very passionate about this. We've got a lot going on, and our symposium is going to continue to leverage us to our strengths, continue to give us the tools we need in identifying our passions, what we do well, and how can I find a team, or how can I mold that team, or how can I create this environment within my hospital. Yay!
Cheers. Thanks so much for having me here. I can't wait to meet every one of you. Hope you come with some flowers.
Thank you so much.